Welcome to Daily Armour. Today we're going to be in Mark chapter 4, looking at verse number 38. We'll actually be kind of looking at verses 35 through 41, but I want to focus on 38 for the sake of reading, and then we'll expound a little bit more on the rest of it. It's going to be a very familiar passage to you. This is something that we all can visualize in our mind. And I think that it's gonna be something that you'll relate to very well. Mark chapter 4, and I'm going to be reading from verse number 38, and it says, "And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow, and they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? They awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish?" Something that the pastor said yesterday, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I stuck it in my pocketbook because I knew that this was something I wanted to ponder on a little bit more. And he referenced this passage, and he made this statement. He said, they came to the wrong conclusion. And I thought, man, how many times have I came to the wrong conclusion? What made me do that was the circumstances changed. Something had happened, and I was like, oh, well, we must supposed to do this. Oh, or I must supposed to do that. And circumstances changed. Even thinking about some circumstances that changed kind of last week and making me think that this that I'm praying about, this that I'm leaving it in the very, very, very safe and capable hands of the Lord to let me know what I am to do. That again, I looked at some circumstances, and not that I was 100% sure that God was saying no, but what I realized was I don't need to look at the circumstances at all and base any kind of conclusion. We're terribly bad. I'm terribly bad. If I'm terribly bad at it, then you're probably terribly bad at it too. We're all basically alike in a lot of ways, and but we'll let our circumstances dictate wrong conclusions if we're not careful. And I thought, oh goodness, Lord, I do that. I have to be careful of that. So I thought I would share that with you, something that I just want you to be aware about coming to the wrong conclusions. Be careful that you don't come to the wrong conclusions because your circumstances change, because something happened, because of a phone call, because of a storm, because of whatever. And it's not always something bad. Something wonderful and great may take place. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this changes things. And sometimes it does change some things, but what we need to go back to is, what did the Lord say about it? And that's what I'm taking from this. Now, we know this is when he rebukes the storm. He says, peace be still. And a lot of times that's all we remember. And if that's all you remember from this passage, it's still wonderful to know that our Lord, the Jesus who we serve, is God. And as God, he has power over every storm. He can tell the wind and the waves, peace be still, and they have to lay down. They have to calm down. They have to immediately obey his voice. And I know he wishes that we were more like that, but he gives us a choice. The wind and the sea, it didn't have any choice. Jesus said, beware, or peace be still, and it laid down. And he tells us what he wants us to do. And then he wants us to follow through of it, but he knows sometimes the fear of the circumstances or the excitement of the circumstances changing will kind of be there to sway us. Just like, Eve in the garden, she knew what Adam had told her, that the Lord had told Adam. She knew that. But then there was this other voice. There was this other saying, this other one trying to change the circumstances. The circumstances hadn't changed just because it was lovely to look upon, just because it was, that it may hold some, the tree of life may hold some things that she, was curious about now that had been brought to her attention. A lot of circumstances don't actually change. It's just somebody's brought it to your attention and you're like, oh, well, maybe I haven't considered that before. Maybe that, and so I feel like this is something that I'm trying to get better at. Not arrived at anything. I'm telling you, I have not arrived at anything in my life. There's nothing that I have figured out. There's nothing that I have mastered. There's nothing that I wouldn't have a doctorate degree in anything in my life. There's nothing. But it's something I am striving for and always trying to train for and learn from. And it's trying to not draw any kind of trying not to come up with any wrong conclusions. When Jesus tells me something, it's not based on circumstances. And he simply wants me to be consistent and be persistent and not let fear come in, or not even let the excitement of new opportunities come in and take me off track. This was a great storm, and we would have been scared. It would have been definitely for me, it was something I would have been afraid of. And I would have had to have, Lord, you told me not to fear. I would have to go back to what he has told me. I would have to go back to what did he say? What did he say? When those fears come in, when them circumstances look like they're just catching us all the way around, when the enemy is surrounding us, we've been circled by the enemy, and they are being mean and cruel, and they're coming at us from this way and they're coming at us from that way, and all these circumstances are changing. What we have to do and what I have to do and what I often try to do, not at perfection, but I will often try to do, is go back, what did he say? But what did he say? There's some things he set in motion for me this year, and there's some exciting circumstances that are going to change. I have a cruise I get to look forward to in another about a month. I have Thanksgiving that Todd and I are going to fly up and spend the day with his parents and then bring my mom back down. So we're super excited about that, but it changes the circumstances. And he has given me some instruction, and these circumstances are going to give me an opportunity to say, well, the circumstances are different, and in the company that I'm with, I want to go with the flow. I want to go along with them. I don't want to be an inconvenience. I don't want to, have to have something different. But I have to go back to what did God say. So even in some wonderful circumstances, I have to go back to what God says. And there's some things that he wanted me to add. There's some things he wants me to remove. And no matter when the circumstances change or how they change, he wants me to go back to what he said. He doesn't want me to he doesn't want me to come to wrong conclusions and say, oh, well, it's okay because of this circumstance or that circumstance. No, it's going back to what did he say. There's several things along my Christian walk that he has had me remove or he's had me to add. And regardless of the circumstances, whether things got hard or difficult, and I've been upset, and I've come to him and I've been upset, and I've been upset about this, about this, storm or that situation, or it's been like, Lord, this is exciting, this is a blessing. But yet he reminds me about what he said, but keep doing this, but keep adding this, but keep removing that. That just because the circumstances changed doesn't mean I need to come to wrong conclusions, doesn't mean I need to forget about what he said, but I need to hold to what he said. And what did he say? Well, let's look at it. What did he say? Let's go back to verse number 35. And it says, "And the same day when the even was come, he saith unto them," this is Jesus speaking, this is what he said, "Let us pass over onto the other side." He said, we're going to the other side. He has just been teaching. His body is exhausted. And he's like, let us pass. We're going to the other side. That's what he said. And he goes and lays down. And when they had sent the multitude, when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm. So He said, let's go to the other side. We've sent the multitudes away. He's just been teaching a multitude of people. He needs to rest. He needs to recuperate. He's like, let's go to the other side. That's what he said they were going to do. That's what he said was going to happen. That's what he said is going to take place. Remember, when Jesus says it, Jesus is God. When God says it, he's our creator. He's our master. He's our Lord. He's our judge. He's our everything. He's our everything. He's in control of everything. When he says it, then it's going to take place. But the storm came. The circumstances changed. But did that change what he said? Did that make a difference in what he said? No. What it made a difference in is in his disciples. What it made a difference in sometimes is me. And what it makes a difference in sometimes is you. And we feel different because we either get excited, oh, this is something the flesh desires, or like in this situation, which happens a lot with all of us, we hear something, oh, the stock market, or oh, a health crisis, oh, there's so many circumstances, and that brings about fear. Oh, I need to be more careful. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. And the Lord's like, what did I say? We're going to get to the other side. We're going to the other side. Let us pass over unto the other side. That's what he said. And I have to remind myself, okay, when I'm scared, how do I handle that? I remind myself about what he said. He told me not to fear. I remind myself about what he said. He said he was never going to leave me nor forsake me. I remind myself about what he has said to me over and over and over again. And he said, this is some things I want you to do. I want you to read. I want you to pray. I want you to study. I want you to be faithful. There's a whole list. And there's some things he's told me not to do. I want you to, not watch soap operas, which you told me that like probably the first 6 months that I was saved. And I want you to not do this and not do that. And I want, this is not how you're going to handle stress. There's some things he's told me along my journey. And I was like, Lord, and he's like, no, that's not how you're going to handle stress. You're going to come to me. You are going to rely on me. You are going to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. See, that's how we come to the wrong conclusion, is we're leaning on our understanding. We're letting what we see, we're letting what we hear, we're letting what is going on bring us to wrong conclusions. But what we've got to go back to is, what did he say? And he said, let us pass over onto the other side. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.